Welcome to this presentation on schedules of reinforcement in operant learning and behavior analysis. We will examine how different reinforcement patterns shape behavior, influence habits, and guide practical interventions in educational and organizational settings. This topic matters because reinforcement schedules explain how habits form and persist over time. Understanding them clarifies procrastination, motivation, and why we keep checking our phones. These principles help us design better study plans and healthier daily routines. Historically, behaviorism shifted psychology toward observable behavior. Researchers showed that the environment, not just internal states, shapes what we do. From this work, operant conditioning emerged, and systematic reinforcement schedules were discovered and mapped. Before we discuss schedules, recall 4 basics. Reinforcement increases the likelihood of behavior. Operant behavior is shaped by its consequences. The 3-term contingency, antecedent, behavior, consequence, organizes events, and motivating operations change how valuable a reinforcer is. The main concept is simple. A schedule of reinforcement is the rule that specifies when a behavior will be rewarded. It defines the relationship between behavior and reinforcement, especially the timing and frequency, and therefore determines how strong and persistent a behavior becomes. Every schedule has 4 core components. First, the target behavior must occur. Second, reinforcement must reliably follow that behavior. Third, there must be a consistent pattern or rule. Finally, as this pattern is applied, the behavior changes in rate, duration, or persistence. We focus on 4 basic schedules. Fixed ratio delivers reinforcement after a set number of responses. Variable ratio uses an unpredictable number of responses. Fixed interval provides reinforcement after a set time, and variable interval uses time intervals that vary unpredictably. Consider a student who studies and earns rewards. The behavior is studying. The discriminative stimulus is the study environment, signaling that work will be reinforced. The motivating operation is the desire for success, and the consequence is a reward, such as praise or points. In a classic experimental example, a rat presses a lever to obtain food. The lever's presence signals that pressing can be reinforced. Hunger functions as the motivating operation, increasing the value of food. When the rat presses the lever, the consequence is food delivery. Not every consequence is a reinforcement schedule. If behavior does not increase, reinforcement is not occurring. When behavior decreases because of a consequence, we call that punishment. And if there is no consistent pattern linking behavior and consequence, no schedule exists. Advanced findings show that variable schedules, especially variable ratio, are most resistant to extinction. They are widely used in real-world systems such as social media and gaming. Because they strongly influence behavior, ethical design and careful measurement are essential. In real life, reinforcement schedules shape studying, procrastination, and our phone use. They affect motivation, self-discipline, and how easily we maintain or break habits. By recognizing these patterns, we can redesign our routines to support more productive behaviors. To summarize, behavior is shaped and maintained by reinforcement. The specific schedule determines how strong and persistent a habit becomes. By understanding these patterns, we gain tools to analyze our own actions and intentionally change behavior over time.
Today's presentation explored the foundational concepts of operant learning and behavior analysis, focusing on how behaviors are shaped and maintained through various schedules of reinforcement. Let's recap the critical points covered. We began by defining operant learning, emphasizing the way behaviors are influenced by their consequences. Reinforcement, both positive and negative, was highlighted as the key mechanism by which behaviors increase in frequency. The role of punishment, which serves to decrease or suppress behaviors, was also mentioned, but our main focus was on reinforcement. Next, we examined the different types of reinforcement schedules. These schedules determine how and when a behavior is reinforced, greatly affecting how quickly and robustly the behavior is learned and how resistant it is to extinction. Continuous reinforcement. This is when every occurrence of a desired behavior is reinforced. we learned that this schedule leads to rapid acquisition of the behavior, but also to rapid extinction if reinforcement stops. Partial intermittent reinforcement. Here, only some instances of the behavior are reinforced, leading to greater resistance to extinction. Partial reinforcement was broken down into 4 main schedules. Fixed ratio schedule. Reinforcement is delivered after a specific number of responses. The classic example is a worker being paid after assembling every 10 products. We noticed that this schedule produces high rates of response, with a pause after each reinforcement. Variable ratio schedule. Reinforcement comes after a changing, unpredictable number of responses. Slot machines in casinos are the textbook case. This schedule produces high, steady rates of response, and is very resistant to extinction. Fixed interval schedule. The first response after a fixed amount of time is reinforced. For instance, a weekly paycheck. Here, responses increase as the time for reinforcement nears, creating a scalloped pattern of responding. Variable interval schedule. Reinforcement is given for the first response after an unpredictable interval of time. Checking for email can serve as an example. This leads to moderate, steady rates of responding because the timing of reinforcement cannot be anticipated. We also discussed how understanding these schedules is valuable for real-world behavior change, whether in educational settings, the workplace, or even in animal training. The use of appropriate schedules can help reinforce positive behaviors effectively and sustain them over time. Finally, we wrapped up with a reminder that behavior analysis is an ongoing process. To modify behavior successfully, one must pay careful attention to how and when reinforcement is delivered and track the changes systematically. By strategically applying these principles, lasting changes in behavior can be achieved.